All right, perfect. All right, well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Thomas, and I'm the co-founder of Dawn. Oh, this is not working. Here we go. Dawn is a booking and ordering app for nightclubs and bar. We released our MVP 3 weeks ago, and we're being tested live at our partner club, Light, which is at the Mandalay Bay. We're looking to raise $1 million to $1.5 million to build up our operation and expand to about 20, 30 venues here in town. So if you look at our product, what problem are we solving? In order to understand what problem we're solving, you kind of need to understand how the nightlife works. The nightclubs in Las Vegas on the Strip draw about $1 billion revenues, $1.2 billion per year, and 60% of that comes from bottle service. I'm not sure if everyone's familiar with bottle service. I'm sure a lot of you are. But pretty much, you pick a table, you commit to spend a certain minimum in the club, and that's how the clubs make money. And that experience is typically very expensive and very inefficient. Technology hasn't really penetrated that service, and that's what Dawn is trying to do. So I'm just going to go into a little further details of what the shortcomings of the experience is. It's a very fragmented market. You still have to deal with an individual host, for every different properties. Our typical target customer is young professional, highly educated, 100K plus revenue, and sometimes there's a mismatch with this culture of hustling and with the host. So there's a big mismatch there, and makes the experience very uncomfortable. You'll have a host make you feel uncomfortable for only spending $1,000 instead of $2,000. So that makes the experience not very enjoyable. Then the second thing is you never know what real estate you're buying. You're paying a high price. You don't know where you're going to be seated. A section, but if you don't know, you've never been to the venue, you don't know the club, you go in, you don't know where you're going. So there's a lot of uncertainty around there. And those are all chronological throughout the experience. Then when you arrive in front of the venue, most of the time you have to wait for all your friends. There's a massive time factor there where if they're not there, when they're texting, where are they, or they're on their way, you can't get in if they're not here. Then the massive problem issue here, and both for the users and the venues, is the time. And it's not because the venues want you to wait, it's just that the bottleneck is getting 5,000 people through the door and to their table in the span of 2 hours. So there's just a lot of people, and it's a process that's just very inefficient. So last summer we ran, on about 20 events, waiting time. Pretty much when you arrive in front of the rope until you get to your table, it's 5 to 20 minutes. They have to check your ID, check your card. Then once you're at your table, then they have to take your card, take it in the back, make a copy. Then they come back with what looks like a mortgage that you have to sign, where, okay, you receive your bottle, etc. It's a very cumbersome process, and it's just the only thing you want to do is you're with your friends. You just want to have fun. You want to do it as quickly as possible. So the waiting time is terrible, and the venues hate it. They just want you to have your bottles and your service as quickly as possible. And then once you're done with your first bottle, you want to reorder drinks. You don't know where your waitress is. There's no reason to wait for a waitress when you can do everything from an app and from your phone. And last thing, how much it really costs. There's also a massive issue around price transparency. You don't know what the tip is going to be. You don't know what that venue charges. Now they charge what they call a service charge or a venue fee to increase their revenue. A lot of lack of transparency around that. So same thing, our app addresses that. So we've developed Dawn. As I said, it's now live, and it pretty much addresses all those shortcomings. So I'm not going to go into massive detail with the app. You can download it. It's on both stores. But pretty much pre-event, you pretty much do everything from your phone. You book a specific table. You can invite and manage your guests through email. So now everyone can get in individually. They have an individual boarding pass. The main feature is the pre-order bottles. So now you pre-order your bottle, and when you arrive, it's ready on the table. You don't have to wait. So we're, we're hooked up with the menus, etc. You get all the nice little feature of notification with the phone. And then during the event, obviously we have a very fast check-in process with a QR code with a scanner at the entrance of every venue. Everything is already checked, vetted, the security guys are all briefed. And then pretty much all the features I talked about, where you can order from your phone, see exact payment in live in real time, and do everything pretty much from the phone. So that's for the app side. Then in terms of the competitive landscape, there's obviously a lot of apps that are that provide booking for nightclubs. There's probably 3 that kind of distinguish themselves. Mainly discotheque. They're about 3 to 5%, I would say, of the market in Las Vegas. At Light, we got about 5 to 10 tables. They get 5 to 10 tables a week. So it's just very, the penetration is not great. And the main reason is because all those apps, they're great at giving you a summary of what events are going on and where you can go that night. But then once you book the table, you click book, they just put you in contact with the club. That's all they do. So then you're back to the same process and the same flaws where you have to go and talk to a human being from that club. Other competitions, obviously the nightclub websites, they're getting better and better. Some of them have the maps. You can not choose your table quite, but see the section, so there's more transparency there. But same thing, once you click book, usually they give you a phone number or they call you or they put you in contact with a human being. It's not a fully streamlined A to Z experience management. So all the competitions that all have the same problem is that they don't live inside the club. We're the first kind of booking app that really A to Z takes you and lives with you in the club, and you do everything from your phone. So our market, so nightclubs and bar industry in the US is 25 billion, doesn't really mean much. Our target is going to be Las Vegas. So we're going to focus on 35 venues. There's 35 big venues on the strip, 17 nightclubs, 11 pool clubs, day clubs, and lounges. In terms of inventory, that translates into 7,200 weekly tables, 250,000 admission. So obviously some clubs are open certain days of the week, certain times of the year. So that's all kind of factored in. But that represents 1.2 billion revenue per year for those properties. The breakdown is 60% of it is bottle service, 30% is the bar, 10% is entry fee. So just to put that in perspective, that 1.2 billion. Gaming revenue on the strip last year was 6.5 billion. Full revenue for the strip properties is 18 billion. 12 billion of it is non-gaming. We've seen a massive trend. In the 1990s, 1/3 of the revenue was non-gaming, 2/3 was gaming. Now it's 2/3 non-gaming, 1/3 gaming. And that trend is just not changing. There's more and more non-gaming. So when you think about it, nightclub is 10% of the non-gaming. So it's a substantial chunk of the revenues for the properties. Also, to put it in context, this is a list of the 10 highest grossing nightclubs in the US. 7 of them are in Vegas, just to say that if we can make it work here, we shouldn't have any problem taking it anywhere else. So that's our serviceable market, those 35 venues. Our business model is very straightforward. We're registered as an independent host with the Nevada Gaming Control Board. So as such, we're eligible for a commission on every booking we bring to the club. Usually that number is 10%. In 95% of the cases, it's a little higher if if you bring a bigger customer. It's a little lower if it's a busy night and a busy club. But all in all, about 10%. Right now, we're not charging any usage fee. That might be something we'll put in the future, but the service is free for the venues. We're just charging on the booking program.
You have 30 seconds. You should wrap it up.
All right. So we don't, I don't really like projected revenues. I like to look at it in terms of break even. We're going to run about 1.2 million burn rate for the year, including customer acquisition. And that translates to 214 tables a week, which is 3% penetration. We have a very kind of ambitious agenda with this app, and we kind of want the new golden standard for booking table. Like you use Uber to get your cab, now you want to use Dawn to book your table and order your drinks. So quickly to wrap up, customer acquisition is obviously the next thing for us, or the chunk of our customer acquisition is going to be an affiliate program where pretty much we give someone a reward if you bring us a customer. The great thing, there's no upfront cost. And when you think about it, you have an entire contingency of cocktail waitresses that can only make money when the customer's in their club. Now, if you give them a way to say, hey, recommend your customer, and now you make money every time that customer goes out with the app, then we have the best ambassadors. All the cocktail waitresses and casinos can recommend our host. So that's the chunk of the customer acquisition. We'll have traditional digital marketing that we can, I just give key numbers on what for our industry, what the acquisition cost is. Brand awareness, we launch on all social media. I just passed this. Biggest risk factor, I'm sure you guys are going to ask me that, and the questions will pass. Team.
Keep going.
Yeah, we always want the 3H, so I got my coder,
Keep going.
I mean, that's fine. I mean, I'll just take question there. What we need is I need 1 to 1.5 million for to get the 12 months runway and scale up and be in all the clubs here in town.
Okay, stop sharing.